So From East to West with Love is a curatorial project exploring the implications of European migrations. As part of From East to West with Love, we have been responsible for creating an open call for film, which we did in collaboration with Kaleidoscope East West. We have received over 80 film submissions, and the screening took place right here last Monday. We also had and still have an exhibition at the Glass Box across the road, which we all would like to take you there once this talk is finished, for those who haven't had the chance to go and have a look. We have had our resident artist here for a week, a Polish performance artist, Paweł Heinzel. And we're here now, and soon we will be announcing another event for the documentary film screening, which we are currently working on, which is illustrating the residency of Paweł and his experience and work that he has produced for From East to West with Love. So today we have gathered here to talk about European mobility and what this European mobility creates to local creative industry, and what opportunities it creates, what tensions, collaborations, and all sorts of different things. What does it do to us? Do the practice on the East or Central Europe is different to the one here, or how do actually practitioners from foreign practitioners from overseas, from other parts of Europe, when they come here, what do they actually do? So today we have Paulina Palian with us, who is a female rights activist based in London. She's also a designer and a social entrepreneur. We also have Roma Piotrowska, who is a curator, art historian and an art critic. And we also have Karolina Korobczyńska, who is an artist and a co-founder of Strix, which is an artist-led space in Birmingham. So thank you for being here with us today, and I'll pass you on to Paulina.
Excellent.
Hi guys, my name is Paulina Palian. Friends call me Polly, nice and short and simple. I am so grateful to be here in Coventry. I'm Polish, living and working in London. I'm an arts manager, fashion designer, activist, artist, and I'm a mother. Come on in, hi. The t-shirt I'm wearing today is very special because I think that you are aware about the situation in Poland. As a women's rights activist, I'm obliged to support the movement Dziewuchy Dziewuchy and few other stuff that we are doing to fight the total ban on abortion. Why is it important? It's because I sort of excusing myself because just today I came from Strasbourg, where yesterday we were over there to speak to European Parliament and ask them for support. It is incredibly important part of my work because I sort of started as a fashion designer. This is like my first degree that I did, and I came to London, and because my last name is Palian, not many people really knew that I'm Polish, but I was not ashamed of that or anything. Even my first collection was called Hopsasa, so the skirt that I'm wearing is a traditional Polish fabric. And what happened is more and more women, because I was single mom and I wasn't hiding this either, more and more women were writing me on social media, asking me how am I doing what I'm doing, how am I supporting myself, and how do I live from the creativity? Because at the end of the day, this is something that touches all of us in London. I'm sure it's similar in Coventry and the rest of the country as well. So I started to have a dialogue with women, and I was really surprised by the lack of self-worth and sort of like a power and be driven. So I decided that I will create something which is gonna sort of like a network, especially now with using social media. It's so much easier to just connect people. I'm old, so I'm calling myself Nokia. I'm connecting people. So this is basically one of my collections. It was done by myself for the photo shoot with Inzagero Latif, and it's pretty special because I made it from the ready-made garments, and I just remade them, and they were, I guess, good enough to go to Abu Dhabi for Ecofuture exhibition. I was the only Polish to take part in this one. My massive inspiration must be Guerrilla Girls in the art, and also all the activist stuff that they do. So at the moment, Dziewuchy I think that the translation is Girl for Girls. So if you see it, that's the movement that is fighting the right-wing government and the total ban on abortion. Over here in the UK, myself with a few other friends, we created something which is called Polish Feminists. And it's very interesting because we are also inspired by Irish. I'm sure that you are aware that Irish has one of the most disgusting law on the reproductive rights. And artists decided to fight it through collective, which they call Artists for Repeal the Eighth. And I think that this is amazing inspiration. Just recently, last Saturday, I was creating an exhibition in Amnesty International London for the Festival of Choice. And it just opened the idea of how uniting in Europe, but also from around the globe, we can use art and creativity to fight all the activist stuff we face. By the way, Guerrilla Girls were kind enough to send one of their posters as well. Hello, come on in. That's okay. So yes, and this poster, when I was studying the art management and I saw it, this artwork, it really struck me because I was thinking about the women that are contacting me. What am I doing in fashion? And by the way, so I'm coming to London and I'm taking part in fashion shows. I'm not known enough to take part in London Fashion Week. So I'm doing this stuff for like small festivals and fashion shows, and I just don't like how they are run. So I decided to run them myself, like you would, right? So when I did fashion already, I invited artists to also contribute. So for instance, there were already events in London that we were renting the venues in Eastern London, East London, like for instance at Shoreditch or Dalston Junction. And we were basically taking the space, guys were putting their artworks in the venue, and I was inviting a few other fashion designer performances, and we were doing, I think we started with events we were called Freak Art Show. And it was really cool, and then we had techno party till like 3 a.m. So that's basically how I got myself in doing more than just fashion and more just doing the design. At the moment, just recently, I started the Facebook page and the Tumblr called Women in Arts and Art by Women. This is again inspiration from Guerrilla Girls and what it says on this poster about getting women and artworks by female artists more visible. And I think that what we need at the moment is education. But I will get to that a little bit later on. What else did I do? Oh, Babski. So the organization that I decided to create, I called Babski London. London is London, that's simple. And Babski is sort of like womanly. It's a very interesting word because it's like if a Polish man would call a woman Baba, which is a noun from Babski, that would be quite offensive, but it's a nice term if like girls do that, so that's allowed. And this is a safe space for women to feel more encouraged and to create. Yes, it's sexist, and yes, it's not nationalistic. But what I wanted to do, I wanted to create a space for women who came over here with their, for instance, husbands who happen to work in constructions, as Polish do. And they are sort of stuck. Maybe they don't have enough language skills. They don't have friends yet over here, but they are creative. Polish, even if they are not artists, they have a lot of like skills in crafts. But because it's very natural for us, because we learned that from primary school, we do not cherish that. That's very interesting. And I think that this is very much into, I will not go so far to say that Eastern European, but I would definitely say that with working with Polish women, I do see the tendency that, for instance, they do sewing, they do embroidery, they do knitting, but for them it's something totally natural. However, through working with Londoners and doing, for instance, frog cycling workshops, I've learned that majority of London-based ladies do not even know how to take a needle and just make the thread through it. So I think that this is a lot of to be raised in the country or in the society that is brought up, especially women, in guilt and shame. But that's a big one, and I'm going to leave it for psychologists. That's my observation. So I created this organization, Babski London, and I hoped that girls, through just showing what they do, are going to encourage themselves, but it didn't work so much. So I had to, in Polish we have the phrase which is called animator kultury, which means that you push people to create, and that's how I found myself. So I start to feel like I'm encouraging people to create and show it out there. And more women were joining our Facebook, more and more women were joining our Facebook group. So when I look at the portfolio, I said, crap, this is quite good. So I created Babski London, I think, in 2012, in January, December 2011, and January 2012. And when I start to look through the portfolios of what women do, I was like, we have to show it. I already had an experience to create the events in London. So I gave myself 3 months, and in March 2012, on the 8th of March, which as we know is Women International Day, I made the first exhibition, which was called Babski Spend. Spend is like gathering. What it did, we collected 100 women and 30 artists, and yes, it was only in Polish. Why? Because during this time, I also met a lot of women who were sort of trapped in their houses. It's very interesting because Polish don't like to admit that, but there is a group that I mentioned to you before that, for instance, they do not feel comfortable to go out to the culture. So I dreamt that if I will create a space that they will know that it's going to be their language, it's going to encourage them to go out. And we didn't have any funds. We didn't have any advertising. Just through social media, we managed to get 100 women in. And it was a beautiful event, very, very touching. But because I like things big and flashy, next year, 2013, I decided that exhibition is not enough for us. So I hired Mile and Pavilion, Arts Pavilion in London. And we had 60 artists, 30 from UK, all women, all Polish, and 30 from Poland. And we had 300 people coming. And I was devastated because I was not aware at the time that actually 300 is quite a bit for the culture event in London. However, at the time I was expecting that it's going to be much more. These are the covers of the catalogs we've done. The catalogs have been published only online due to the financial situation. Why? Because, that's one of my staff. Yeah, as a designer and artist, I like to work with painters. There is a painter called Eva Batier. That's Project Anna we've done. This is one of the things. It might not feel nice for some people, but I really don't have a problem when I organize event to show my creativity as well. I'm not going to be trying to be modest and wait for somebody to say, come on, show something. No. If I create an event, I make sure that my staff are in there. So it's also the inspiration for me, because it wouldn't make sense if I would just encourage people to create and I wouldn't use my creativity myself. At least that's what I think. I do hope that, for instance, if that wouldn't be good enough, somebody would say, Paulina is like lowering the standard. But maybe people are scared and they never said that. So other thing that another person I work with is Artur Przebindowski, and the collection was called You In, Are You In? And this one actually wasn't shown in London. The premiere was in Wrocław for the Night of the Museums. But of course, yes, I took the liberty to use it at the events. And now, so thank you. So what happened is, okay, so I'm a fashion designer and I'm already doing the events, and I do know that I have a massive struggle with money. What we did is we managed to always take the funds from the artists. So I call it that we self-funded our events. So any cost we had for the venue or whatever, I was doing the budgeting and I was saying, okay, this is how much it's gonna be. We need to share the costs. And that's how it worked. But because I wanted to be more professional, I decided to go for the postgraduates, and I started the arts management degree in Birkbeck. And at Birkbeck, I did the one of my project. I did the Babski Spend Festival, and it was such an interesting experience because I was already working on it. So I was working on something that was supposed to be only a draft. And my teachers were telling me every time that there is no point that it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. And this is my problem with working with London, with creative industry like the institutions. Because because they are so boxed in, this is not going to work, you need to have grants. If you have a grant, then it's going to work. I'm like, I'm a doer. All the paperwork, I feel like it's stopping me, it's dragging me down. Having said that, because I want to be more professional, I was like, okay, let me see how to do it. So as a finish of my course, I was supposed to do the paperwork for the Art Council. And I was lucky enough, or unlucky enough, that one of my tutors actually was working for Art Council, and this is exactly what she said. She said, Paulina, there is no way you're going to get grants for that, because we are not going to be allowed to support the event that is promoting only one niche. And we find it sexist and nationalistic. Okay. So anyhow, we did the festival. It was brilliant. It was 7 days in my Island Art Pavilion, as I said. And then I'm finishing my course, and The Guardian, just when I was finishing my course, is giving the list of 100 best-selling artists this year. So that was 2012, 2013. And guess how many female artists' names were there on the list? That's a question, not a rhetorical. Come on.
20.
Okay, what else?
3. 1.
Okay, any other?
No.
So for instance, you see my struggle. I was doing this paper, and I knew that I'm not doing this paper only to get my degree, but I knew that I want to put it into the institution. And my tutor, she's like, no, it's you're just wasting your time. And then suddenly Guardian published something, and all the British female artists that were like I was with, and what I was facing in the media, they started to panic, like, how is it possible? What's going on? So I said to myself, what I'm doing actually makes sense, although believe me, working with Polish and women is not easy. Sometimes I'm feeling like maybe running into the wall would be more effective, but I love them. If they're gonna listen to that. So I understood that what I'm doing is working in the niche within the niche. Working with women is difficult in arts. Working with any community, if you just box yourself in a community as I did. And believe me, it is not a choice. I have no idea. I've been questioning myself. My son is 15. He's questioning, why am I so stuck with Polish? I just think that it's freaking mission. That's what I think. I think that it's just like, if I'm not going to do it and I would concentrate on other cultures, who else would concentrate on Polish? Well, maybe Emilia. So we have people over here. So that's really, really interesting. And I like to go back to this idea. And recently I had a chat with Women of the World, which is like festival the most important festival, in my opinion, in London, and it's happening every 8th of March in the South Bank in London. And I had a discussion with the main curator, and she suggested that the problem is that people are not buying female artists' work. And I said, why? It's because we have to educate people that what women create has a value. And I do not blame people who are not buying female artists, because if somebody wants to invest, they're going to invest in something that they predict is going to sell, right? Or it's going to be a capital. So my idea would be that now, when everything changes and women start to make money, they go for something that they already know that sells well. So if we have 100 names and there are no women, they pick up for whatever they can afford. So there's going to be guys, because there are none women over there. So you see what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to encourage women to create more, educating people through my social media, like the one that I created, Art, Women in Arts, Arts Bury Women, so we would learn. And also I think that it's another mission, that through that we're going to manage to show the art. I believe that women are going to understand art made by women. And then, hopefully they're going to spend some money on it. And everybody's going to be happy. What else did I do? Oh, actually, that's pretty much. I think I spoke a long time, but that's the problem with me if somebody gives me the space. So what I wanted to say is, like, everything what I do is actually very much combined, and it's so interesting, and I'm going to say that for the end, because I believe that we create our reality. I was living in Poland, I was living in Cyprus for a year, and I was working in the financial corporation, do not ask. But it gave me a good experience, and it gave me the idea of coming back to London with gratitude to be creative in London. I needed a break. It was good for me to work in corporation, to actually go back to UK and see that, okay, we struggle financially, and London is very expensive, but it gives me a freedom of expression, and I can create my reality by being over here. Emilia invited me over here, I think, in August. I had the date settled. I had no idea that the Polish government is going to come up with the proposal of total ban on abortion. So I had no idea that I'm going to have to be in Strasbourg yesterday, because I do believe that we create our reality, but I don't read the future. So, so what happened is, I just love that as a self-employed and freelancer person, I can work around my schedule, and I could be in Strasbourg and I could be over here. And everything what I did is still for women, but the thing that I do is I work with women because I believe that that's going to affect their kids and that's going to affect their partners. As a mother, I know that, because although my son doesn't take part in many stuff I do at the moment because he's 15 and he doesn't think that what I'm doing is cool, I know he's proud. And I want him to understand that he can create his life, and I think that he does that, because just recently he got into Brits art school, and he's in theatre strand. So what I'm saying is that do your stuff, show it out there. There is a saying in Poland, siedź w kącie, cię znajdą, sit in the corner and they will find you. When I'm doing my shouting at the activist rallies, I said, don't sit in the corner because they won't find you. So create, encourage people to create, and then create events. Thank you very much.